6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we'll see if that starts it on time. But hey guys, we are rounding out the year. We've got 2 more webinars for the rest of the year. And I'm guessing that people are starting to, if you're like me, fall into the winter blues mode. Maybe not you, Rebecca, because you obviously you're wearing a tank top right now. But we definitely had our first snowfall yesterday here in Chicago. And so it's been a lot of bundling up and wearing lots of layers. And I took my little puffy vest off for this conversation today. But we are on webinar number 39. Oh my goodness. We've definitely been, doing this for more than 3 years. Every month we're bringing a little flair from the ASC, the Accountability Success Circle, into your either computer, device, whatever you're watching YouTube. And so if you're stumbling upon this and you have no idea what the ASC is, we are a community that is committed to helping people have more fun while getting stuff done. And that looks like, supporting each other with creating really intentional, thorough plans and working to accomplish that, but making sure that you are also personally growing in a way that's not the hustle and grind of the world. Because even though we are called the Accountability Success Circle, it is not about, sitting there and like hammering down and making sure that you get shit done. Pardon my language, but just making sure that you're enjoying life as you're doing it. And that doesn't mean slowing down, but it's really, really focusing on things that matter. So this month in the ASC, every month we have a theme, and we just came off of annual planning last month. So we decided to take a little bit of, soften things, because we had a very active month last month, and the theme is dreams. And so we've been spending this month kind of exploring, anything that relates to dreams, whether it be living out your big vision, or even identifying the sleep patterns that are happening in your subconscious, and how to leverage that. So yeah, Rebecca, we're just gonna have like a chill conversation today. We're gonna enjoy, see where the conversation takes us. But
yeah, it's kind of like I have another group I'm a part of where we do more of like the yoga stuff. We're talking about doing fireside chats, and my meditation group has these fireside chats. So it kind of feels like maybe a fireside chat, even though we have no fireside. Be nice if there's like a fireplace right here, but I've got my candle. And so it's kind of like,
I've got a candle too.
Cozy up, sit around the fire. Yeah.
And before I start, so one of the things that I started doing as part of my daily practices before I go to bed is to pull a tarot card to kind of give me like some grounding and some focus for the day. And it's interesting because it's, I have to try to identify the message, and I'm not like a tarot woo expert, but it's just trying to tap into just kind of that realm of my life, because I'm very action oriented and a go-getter. And so I just wanted to read, because I was like, ooh, this is really interesting for our chat today. So I pulled the High Priestess card, which in my deck looks like this. Let me pull it up. So it's a nice little tiger holding a purple blue crystal ball. Those are our colors, Rebecca.
They are.
And I'll just hold it up while I read what this is. And so the book that I have gives me like an overarching like kind of meaning or idea, and then it gives me a little bit more context. So the High Priestess card symbolizes mystery and psychic wisdom. And it says the High Priestess sits in stillness. From there, she's able to access realms others pass by without noticing. The vast world of intuition, dreams, and mystery. She uses silence and non-action to harness this power. Sometimes this card appears to remind you to listen more closely to the voice within. Other times it's a sign to look past the obvious, to find what's being kept secret or hidden within a given situation. Acknowledge the shadows.
So perfect.
So, I was like, oh, this is great for us to kind of have that as a little message coming into this conversation, because like more like a fireside chat, but let's see where the intuition gets us. But we will obviously talk about the concept of dreams and all of that.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And kind of adding on to what you said at the beginning in terms of, we just came out of October here in the ASC, where we did spend that month thinking about planning out next year. Can feel very heady at times, though we do and did implement, like tapping into like what you want though and desires. And like you're saying with the tarot and that energy, it's so important to address both when you just moving through any part of your life. And so although sometimes I think when I look at the ASC, I think of it as we're just this productivity success space, but I'm constantly reminded by you, Apryl and Gary, it's like this is what I can bring to it. And so as I'm feeling a little drained overall, and part of it probably is from just really putting a lot of energy out in October. October was a very full month for me, and then in the ASC and the planning. And so in November, it's like kind of sensing holiday time is coming, which I personally love, but it does mean for me, I do travel, get in a plane, do the whole airport holiday thing. And there's just like a lot going on energetically. So whether it's, with kids in school and parents and all that energy that goes into that it's just because we're all connected. I don't know. I think everyone can feel just a little bit. The days are shorter and people are probably trying to cram in just as much as they did in summer and longer days. And interestingly enough, I did have someone yesterday, I did a podcast interview, and we were talking about the rhythms of simplicity and life. And this gal I was chatting with does Ayurveda, which is the sister science of yoga. And in that, there are the basic pillars of health. And one is sleep. And so we're talking just a little bit about sleep and also about getting rest in this time of year, how important it is, because the days are shorter. And if you are feeling like you actually need more rest and you need to slow down, like what's keeping you from doing that? And then this, of course, ties into dreams, because when you sleep, you dream in one sense of the word. And we'll also play with like daydreams. But it's all that same energetic space, like what your card is presenting, of intuition and dreams and imagination. And we all have the capacity to tap into that. And I love that you've gotten into the tarot, Apryl, because it's reminding me, even though I have a few decks and I've never really gotten into it until the last couple of years, like what a great avenue for someone like you, where you're a little newer to the space of even thinking about doing something like that every day. But to have that tangible thing and to know that that's helping you tap in, even if it's just for a few minutes of your morning, like that's enabling you to feel into that energy. That's different than the productivity energy. So I don't know if you have any thoughts to share on that, of just kind of this place of dream energy, intuition, tarot, what have you, and why it is important to balance out like October energy of productivity.
Right. And as I, before I respond to that and saying hi to Terry and Dee, who are in the chat, you guys, love you. Really, really curious for you two who I know you're on live because you're saying hi in the chat. How was October for you? Because both of you guys were at the retreat, and how is November feeling for you now? We're halfway through already. It's like crazy to think that next week is Thanksgiving. But it definitely took me, and I think I was very frustrated even for a lot of October, because I love the retreat so much and I burn so much energy, but I almost feel like I've been brain dead until like the end of last week, where I was like, okay, I'm getting back on it. And so, to respond to your stuff, I think one of the things in my personal plans on the health and wellness side was to have a very kind of like more like committed sleep practice. And for all of last year, I was trying to use data to identify how much I was actually sleeping, and then trying to hit that goal, which I was kind of averaging around 6 hours. And my running coach challenged me to try to bump that up even more, which, you know, takes an hour of my day. And then on top of that, trying to do more of these things where I'm not having rushed energy, but I'm staying productive. And, you know, I think one of my dreams, if I had to like share, like ultimately what I'd want to do is, and I think I've always wanted this, is to like work harder in less time, like getting more done in less time. And I always feel like I'm frazzled and like, oh my God, I gotta go run and do this thing. And so in the last 4 days, or at least since the weekend, I've been really trying to like hone in on like my daily practice and like moving slow and just kind of having at my disposal here the things that I need to do. So I was telling Rebecca right before we got on this call, I was like, on this webinar, like I'm feeling very zen right now. I'm also like trying to drink all this water. Like, look at this, you guys. I just started this last week. I am trying to drink like this, and I'm not a water drinker, but I'm trying to, this is filled with water and electrolytes. I'm trying to drink one of these a day. I'm trying to sleep 7 hours a night. I'm trying to do all of these things and I feel so rested. But it was interesting too, because last night I had a dream, and which I can't remember now, but in the moment I was like, oh, I have to remember this dream because we're going to talk about it tomorrow. But I don't remember it anymore. And so, yeah, I think that the active side of me is always like focused on living out my dreams, right? But I do think it's not about doing all the time. It's about just doing the things that bring me joy and being in the state of joy. It's like I do things so that I can be joyful, but like I need to tone that down somehow and really focus on the things that matter. And so saying no a lot over the last couple months has been really, really great. And just kind of feeling my energy and knowing like, is this what I want? Is this not what I want? And so, but we always have to be in that state of like dreaming for more. And in my mechanical way of thinking, it's always thinking about like, okay, here's something that doesn't feel so great. How can I make it better? So that's like where I sit in that dream space of like, how can I change this up so that it feels more flowy, which is why I'm so drawn to you, Rebecca, because I just feel like you're so flowy, even though, you know, you've got your days, like we all have our days of like feeling kind of crazy and frazzled and whatever, but like, you know, like aspiring to that zen when I know that I'm somebody who kind of tends to default as somebody who, who likes to take a lot of action. And before I pass it on back to you, Dee said October was insanely busy, more work and more stress than usual. November's quieter, carving out time to get to finish planning, going away by myself this weekend to reconnect with myself and my work. Yay! October planning was really eye-opening, and it made me see that it's more important to have a system for getting things done than getting everything done on my list, says Terry. So yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Well, and like you said in there, that you wanted to work, like get more done and like work less. And I think that's probably true for most people, I would assume, though I don't know. Because I definitely want that too. I really love just personal time.
Like putting less time into it, right? Like,
and that's the efficiency. And that's what all these like business more, you know, and I follow all the people. I probably should unfollow a lot of them because it's just muddling my thinking. But you know, it's kind of the goal of everybody. It's like, how do you get more done, make more money, live more life, and have more time and space? And what I've learned through the years studying the practices I have, it's like you actually can get there by doing less. And but like the ego and the belief systems and all the things that we've been just, you know, taken in because that's society and culture, it's hard to believe that can be true. But and maybe people have heard this, but this was, I think, new news to me in the last year, that Phil Jackson, the coach of the Bulls and now the Lakers, that he has always made his teams meditate. And again, that meditation, when I say meditation, I'm also tapping into like that dream energy, though there is a difference, and I'll get there in a second, but it is like, wow, so here's like these all-star basketball teams that are winning the championships time after time. their secret sauce is meditation. Their secret sauce is getting more rest. Their secret sauce is doing less and winning more. Like, what if we all could just believe that that is the truth of life? Like, and it really does come back to who you are, how you're operating, your core self. And I was talking with a guy yesterday in yoga, and he's a real estate guy, and he comes to hot yoga, like, I don't know, 5 times a week, which is in a way good, also not great, because I don't think people need hot yoga that much, but I'm no expert. However, we were talking about doing and productivity and kind of mental health too, tied into that. And he asked me about psychedelics and plant medicine, things that I've been exploring more, because I just want to know about everything that can help people get to the root of their issues, get to the root of what is holding them back, get to the root of what is getting in the way of that belief system, like creating lack. And I asked him, it's like, well, when do you turn off? Like, when do you stop at the end of the day? Like, you're at yoga, are you going to go back to work and this and that? And so we're just having this conversation about kind of that hustle culture and fitting in, then he's cramming in yoga to the day. And I think he's been practicing yoga for like 15 years, apparently. So I think he does have an understanding, but I said, well, I don't know. Is happiness the end goal? Like, what is the end goal, or what is like the big dream? What is happiness? Like, where we all want to be, or bliss or contentment or joy? Like, what are we doing all this for? And he said this little quote that someone had shared with him. He's like, well, I don't know. I just want to make sure I die happy. And the person said, well, yeah, but what about just living happy? And I was like, oh, that's so good. And so at some point, in terms of big dreams of your life, like, what is the big dream? And we want to have a little space today too, to do that, of just really tapping into, like, what's that big energy? What's that big ask? What's that big want? And can we start to believe that getting more rest so we can dream deeper, or manifesting and giving ourselves this space to create, that actually is that special sauce, like slowing down and tuning in and adding these flavors of intuition. And I'm guessing there's some people in the ASC that don't operate this way, or there's probably voices in minds right now listening to, I don't know, live, but on replay, of like, yeah, I don't know about this. This is a little woo-woo, like that word woo comes up a lot, and we get it. Like, I don't know. Sometimes I get a little wooed out by some of the stuff that's out there, but I don't know. I guess I want to be the voice of reason here too, of like, we all know that we dream. We all know about NBA basketball. And can we just start to look at these breadcrumbs and these offerings that life is providing us, of like, there's something more to all of this. And so anyway, in the bullet points for today, we did want to go into just taking a pulse check on your current dreams. And again, like, when you're listening to this, maybe you are having like the lucid dreams, like actual in your sleep dreams. And so it could be a time to like get a pulse check on that. Or if you're like, I don't know, like, sure, dreams, but also holding space for more of that, like, manifestation in real life. Like, what are the big dreams you're moving towards? What did October, if you were at the retreat or did some of that annual planning, what are the big dreams? What's that bigger thing still? And can we call that a dream? So getting a pulse check on that. And also, Apryl has become an undercover dream studier. So we've got a dream interpretation handbook. So we do want to also go there, but neither of us are dream experts. So there are people out there. But it's so personal in a way. And there's so many resources online. I think a ton of people I know of, at least, have been like, well, I had a dream about this and I looked it up. And so we all know that there are those ways to look up the meanings just via the good old internet. But we'll talk about that too. And then also just ways to channel the energy of dreaming bigger. And so we kind of work backwards with that one. But in my opinion, the ways of channeling energy, the energy of dreaming, or to dream bigger, is to tap into your dreams, to slow down, to like do the things we're talking about here, of like Phil Jackson and the Bulls and the Lakers. It's like meditate. I saw a video the other day of LeBron James too. I don't know how new it was, but it was like some televised thing. And he's sitting there meditating in the middle of an NBA game. He's like, he had his eyes closed and he's breathing. He's not thinking about, he's like visualizing what he wants to have happen on the court. So in terms of dreaming bigger, in a lot of ways, it does mean sit back, slow down, get more sleep. Like, whether it's 7 hours like you, Apryl, whether some people are like, I actually need more, or maybe people think they can get a little less. But in terms of actual deep sleep, this could come down today, just a reminder to get better sleep, especially during the winter. If you live in the northern hemisphere, the days are shorter and cooler, and your body probably wants more rest. So give it to it now, because before you know it, it's going to be springtime. You're going to be up and running again. And we need this, and our brains need this. So specifically when you're dreaming, your brain is going through the phases. And I think a lot of people have heard of like the REM cycle. And now we've got all these gadgets, and we get the Aura ring, and you get this and that, and things that are, in a way, I think they can tell you a lot about your dream state, and they can tell you just through rhythms, your biorhythms, are you getting to that deepest level? Because it does usually take adults, a good 2 hours, 90 minutes or so to get into that REM cycle, and then to stay there. Or it could take even longer than that. Actually, another thing I read was, 5 hours into your sleep, that's when you're starting to get into like where you might be lucid dreaming. But then imagine if you're only getting 6 hours, and you're kind of jarring yourself out of a really precious healing part of your sleep, because the brain needs to defrag. And so when we dream, I know when I dream, we talk about our dreams here in a second, I rarely have those things that are so like symbolic, but instead it definitely feels like I'm watching a movie of my life, and random things are coming in the morning. If I remember, it's like, I was thinking of that like 2 weeks ago. I was thinking of that yesterday. I haven't thought of that person forever, but I did have this one thing that is totally tied to that one person. So it really is a place where your brain is clearing out and processing a lot. So it could be that. It could be offering you more subconscious patterns or messages in terms of the things that are more symbolic that the interpretation book might show. But ultimately, it's for your physical and mental health, I think, in my opinion. And then it's also a place where our spirit, our soul can gain access to these bigger energies, just like in meditation. And the last thing I'll say before handing the mic off is like, sleep over the other stuff. So if people sit down and want to meditate, or people are slowing down and adding these slower practices, and you doze off, you probably need more sleep. This country is a country of sleep deprivation, like through and through, and sleep issues, and all the blue lights and all the stimulation and all this stuff we just ram into our heads in our waking hours. No wonder other things spiral in the health world, because sleep really is such a core pillar. Back to that conversation I had yesterday, that remembering from thousands of years ago. This is nothing new and very simple, but sleep is a pillar of your health, period. So do you need better sleep in order to get more into that dream state, to heal your brain, to tap into greater consciousness, whatever it might be? So anyway, mic drop, done.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm going to talk about dreams in a second. Let's just see what's in the chat. So Dee said she would love to get more done and work less, and she's hoping to use what she learned during the October planning to make that happen. Need to plan now how to make next fall less stressful. I am right there with you, girl. I spent this whole time thinking like, why did I run 2 races on each end of the retreat? Maybe I race not at all. So that's been fun. Terry, Gary's here. He says yes to more sleep, says the new dad of 2 kids. Terry Brown says, for sleep dreams, I need to get back into dream journaling and learn how to lucid dream again. And for big dreams, still thinking a lot about finally going to Japan. It's been on my mind the past few weeks. And then he said also, yay for great sleep. So are we gonna go the dream route first, or the sleep dream route first, or the vision dream?
I think go into the actual sleep dream. Okay. I think any of your lucid dreams, anything you've learned through your studies recently.
So this book says, and I'm gonna paraphrase this because I didn't read it in detail, but like there's a section in here that talks about why we dream in the first place. Whoops, my phone just turned on. Sorry about that. And so it says, dreams are experiences you have when you're asleep. Dreaming occurs when your ego shuts down and you're in a state of sleep known as rapid eye movement. At this point, your body isn't moving, but your brain is still sending out signals as if it is, which is likely what allows you to dream. And so Psychology Today points out that the reasons for dreaming are still poorly understood by science. And in fact, some scientists believe dreams serve no purpose whatsoever, but others feel dreams do serve various purposes. And so here are some of the examples. So memory sorting can be one. So basically sorting specific memories into different spots in your brain. That's cool. Neurological maintenance. Talking about the chemical shift that occurs during the transition between waking and sleeping, and the chemicals stimulate brain activity. Wish fulfillment, according to, I guess, Sigmund Freud, Dreaming satisfies unconscious desires from our waking life. Let me make sure that there's not too many of these. Okay. Extending our waking life. So some people see dreaming as an extension of being awake. Enhancing creativity. Gary would love this one. Really taking advantage of when you're dreaming, coming up with those creative ideas, and can benefit creative pursuits such as art, music, and writing. Paul McCartney has related the words to this hit song Yesterday that it came up in a dream. So, and then there's working through your problems. You can use dreaming as a form of problem solving. That's probably what shows up in a lot of my dreams. Messages from the subconscious, higher self, or spirit. So, what are your dreams trying to tell you? That's probably like one thing we could definitely go into a lot in this conversation. And then visits from the dead. So there's definite like benefits and reasons for dreaming, and those are just a handful. Oh, there's one more. To tell us something about ourselves. They say this is the most important one. If you're willing to listen to and interpret your dreams, they usually are messages about our tendencies, habits, beliefs, and emotions, as opposed to the messages we receive from our higher selves and guides about our spiritual path. So that's kind of interesting because, especially as we just have come off of a month of planning and thinking of this higher vision and what we, are dreaming about, there's that value of thinking about like, what are these dreams that I'm having and how does that manifest, or how does that inform what I need to do in the real world, right? And so, yeah, this book is, I admittedly haven't read it cover to cover yet, but a lot of times I'll wake up and be like, what does that mean? Let me go look and see if I can find something. So I'm going to pause for a second. Gary's got his 100 symbols in the chat. So yeah, dreams can be super, super important. For those of you who are in the chat, if there's anything specific, and I know that, those of you who are at the retreat got to hear a lot of what some certain things symbolize, and I'll share some of the interesting ones that I had shared during the retreat when we were talking about dreams. But if there's anything that you have as a recurring dream, or anything that has kind of showed up in your dreams recently that you're like, I'm curious if there's something about XYZ that happened in my dream and how I might interpret that and bring it in and bring knowledge into my current world, feel free to throw that in so that I can so we can talk about that. But Rebecca, where do you want to go after that?
Yeah, I was just keeping an eye on the chat box here. So if anybody has had dreams, we've got the dictionary out here. So just feel free to toss in the chat if you've had any of those, any sorts of dreams, or if you've had any of your own personal analyzations, kind of like mine, of like, it just seems like my brain is going through kind of this soupy processing thing. And a lot of the suggestions I've ever heard, it's like the dream journal always comes up of find a way to document your dreams. I actually have never done that, but I see the power in that. I just haven't gotten to that level. For me, for years, and especially during the pandemic, when I went through a big personal life shift and got out of a very tumultuous relationship and was very like triggering and traumatizing, I was dealing with some anxiety that I never had before. And it was a little like my sleep got off. And so then I realized that probably my whole life, my sleep has been a little off because of my perfectionist and people pleasing. That really is a nervous system glitch, and that can cause you to just always be doing and thinking about the next thing of success and needing to perfect things. And that's tiring. And I talk about the nervous system a lot these days because I've been studying it more, but it's the brain. That is your nervous system computer. And when you dream, it's the brain. So all of our life data is coming in through our, all these experiences we have every second of our lives. And it's going into our system of sensory, which is connected to the brain, the central nervous system. That's how you feel things. That's like when you touch the tip of your finger right now, you can feel it. You feel everything, whether it's physical touch, smell, things you're taking in through your sense of sight, and it's all traveling through your nerves. into the bigger system, which is spine and brain. So your whole life is literally coming in and being processed by the brain and the central nervous system. So when you think about then your life and things that you've moved through, like for me, I was realizing, wow, I've been in this kind of people pleasy energy, which is a fawn state, which is a sympathetic response, fight, flight, freeze, fawning in the nervous system. So if you feel like for years of your life recently, or however long that you've been living in states of a little bit of survivor energy, like however you might look at it, or like that hustle, like that's keeping you in this perpetuated state of going and doing, and your brain system, central nervous system, it's going nonstop. And just like anything that goes nonstop, at some point it's going to need a break. Yeah. And so anyway, my sleep, I think in the last few years, I've just been focused on getting more sleep, boosting the quality of my sleep. And during the pandemic and earlier, realizing, wow, I remember in college, my roommate and I, we were like the magic 6. Like we came up with this theory that we thought 6 hours was all we needed. And of course we were messy 19-year-olds back then, or however old we were, and could operate on a lot less sleep. So I just have, through the years, have always had this kind of constant thread of just sleep versus dreams. And finally, like some of you know, John and my boyfriend, he's in the group. Hey, and he's a sleep guy. Like when we met, I was like, holy moly, this guy takes his sleep seriously. But it was kind of this great opportunity for me to like take that next step. So it's like, I always wore earplugs, but earplugs and eye masks and the sound machine and making sure it's dark in the room. And my parents actually were pretty attuned to that as well. But, you know, starting with the quality of sleep. So anyway, looping back to like the dream journal, maybe I'll get there someday, but I personally have just been prioritizing, how do I get more sleep to get more REM sleep, that deep sleep, so that I can just trust that the dreams will start to happen more. And I have been dreaming a lot more since I've been prioritizing sleep. So in terms of, for some of you listening, it might just be that first step of sleep, you know, like if you're getting crummy sleep, even if you're sleeping a lot, are you feeling rested when you wake up? So there's that, and realizing that's going to help you access these deeper states where you'll remember your dreams. Something else I read, it might be in your book too, of you don't necessarily remember as much when you're not getting the deepest sleep. So if you're like, I don't even know the last time I can recall a dream, like no dream recalling at all, it's probably, or could be, because you're not letting yourself get to that deeper state. And if you ever have worn, like my Garmin watch does something pretty mild, but you can, you know, look at for the hours of rest. I don't know. I think Apple Watch probably has numerous things now that it does of tracking, you know, when are you getting deep enough? And so if you're kind of just skirting, like you're sleeping for 7 hours, but you're kind of up and not dipping into those deeper states of rest, you're not probably accessing the power that you could of these dreams, that all the things that Apryl read from that book included. And again, just going back to, okay, do I need less stimulation? You know, quit the nightcap, like do an adaptogen drink, something like a chamomile tea, or, you know, what can you add in now to enable deeper sleep, therefore deeper dreams? And if you're already sleeping well, maybe you are at the point of like documenting your dreams. Something I mentioned earlier, but it was like around hour 5 of the night to even set an alarm. This doesn't sound fun for me, but again, if you're in this place where you actually do want to analyze your dreams a little bit, you might set an alarm for like 5 hours into your sleep, wake up, because you're going to be like right in the middle of it. And then just in that place, recall what you can. Have the journal ready to go, like have it right there where you're going to see it when you hit the alarm, and just see what comes out. And my guess is that it might take a few times of like getting into that practice, but there's plenty out there that I was reading that was suggesting things like that. If you're ready for this next state of dream interpretation, dream analyzation, and even if you were to get, you know, a session with somebody who does dream work, they're going to want to know some patterns of your dreams. So if that sounds interesting at all, I definitely would encourage you, just like going to any sort of expert, the more data you can bring, the better results you're going to have, and a deeper conversation could be had. So if you're like a little excited about, I want to like learn more about what I'm dreaming and what it's showing me, start a dream journal, start a way to document it, whatever that might take. Or maybe you realize just in the mornings you have enough memory still going, versus needing to set an alarm for 5 hours into your sleep, interrupting your sleep. But I saw that from a few different kind of experts and doctors out there saying that that could be a way to start to learn a little bit more of what's going on behind the eyelid curtains, so to speak.
Yeah. What's also interesting is that I'm sure everybody's dream patterns are a little bit different, but I think now that I've been sleeping more and sleeping well, I can remember dreams, but I'm realizing that when I don't get good sleep consistently, there is a lot of chatter in my dreams that it's like almost stressful to the point like I remember those where like the last few nights, if I've been sleeping 7 hours, or like I've been able to sleep 7 hours 11 of the last 14 days, and I feel super relaxed, but it's like I can't remember my dreams as much, and maybe I do remember them in the morning, but it's like there's a lot more calm, which is very interesting, and maybe that's just me, but like I joked around at the retreat about how like I'll have dreams about like 9/11-esque type dreams where like everybody's trying to run away from like a tragedy that's happening, and I'm like trapped in a building that's like gonna come down, and I don't know what floor I'm on, and I'm trying to like run and get out of it. So like it seems very, very stressful, but I think that also manifests like now that I'm seeing the difference between getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep versus like 7. That's very interesting, and an interesting message to share about my sleep patterns. Checking okay, so Terry said he had a dream last night about failing a test. So there is in our little book, and just so you guys know, this is the book that I am referencing. It's called the Dream Interpretation Handbook, and it's by Karen Fraser. I just, Amazoned. I was like, oh, that looks like what I need. So if you're taking a test, what that might symbolize, just as you take tests academically to assess your progress, taking a test in dreams suggests you are either being tested or assessing yourself in some way. If you're taking a test on a subject you know nothing about, you may feel as though you're in over your head in some aspect of your life or need to learn more about something important. If you fail, it can pinpoint aspects of your life about which you feel insecure. But if you ace the test, it suggests you feel ready to meet any of life's challenges head on. So Terry, noodle on that and see if you have any reflections on what that says, or if that is relevant at all to you. And I think let's see, Gary, I'm still looking for something for yours. He says it's being in the backseat of the car and no one driving. There's stuff about cars, but I'm trying to see if there's like a clear one. Dee's, her reoccurring dream theme, she's trying to get to a destination, flight or train, but I can't leave because there's something essential that I can't find, or many things that prevent me from getting there. Okay, so there's a little bit here. So there's like almost 3 parts. So I saw travel and vacation. Sometimes dreaming of travel or vacation simply means you need to relax or you need a vacation. It can also be about an upcoming trip you're planning to take. Symbolically, traveling also suggests you're ready to embark upon a new path, find a new goal, or try something new in your life. It can represent a longing for excitement, the wish for a change of scenery, or the desire to have new expectations. Where you go, who you're with, and your mode of transportation can all provide deeper clues about what you'd like to change or experience. But then, because you can't leave, I'm gonna read the one about like not being able to move. There's that, and maybe also I thought something about like losing something, or like not able to find something. So let's see. Where was that? Can't move, or like being paralyzed. This isn't always a symbol, although sometimes it is. Your body actually experiences a condition called sleep paralysis. So that could be one part. Or if it's symbolic paralysis within the dream, you may feel a sense of being stuck on, or an inability to deal with certain situations in your life. The context and symbols of the dream will provide more clues. But also it's because you can't find something. So if you're like losing something or can't seem to find it, So when you lose things in dreams, it often suggests the same thing as in the waking world, that you need to be more organized and systematic in your approach to life. The dream may indicate it's time to declutter and reorganize your home, for example, or you can also have dreams of losing something when you've experienced a big life change. So those are some interesting things. So Dee, let me know if any of that kind of resonates with you. There's a part of me that thinks that some of that could, because I know you. But yeah, feel free if you guys want to share any other details. And then Gary, I'm going to keep looking for specifically what I think would be the best to read for you. And Rebecca, I'll turn it back to you while I look.
Yeah. Well, like a part of me wishes I had those, and this is my sign to like start journaling, or, you could use your phone notes app or whatever, even though that's something that is usually suggested to keep your phone out of the bedroom. So finding a way to document, but I know I've had those dreams, but it's interesting where I don't know if anyone can relate, where I'll remember them when I wake up, but usually halfway through the day, I can't remember them anymore, as with a lot of things, but specifically around dreams. I think because it is something that's in that in that energetic space of where it kind of just comes in and goes. The memorable ones I could remember, you probably can remember, but just to have some documentation, because it sounds fun sometimes of like, ooh, I want to like have a vacation dream, or like, oh, I wish I had some symbolism in my dreams versus just my brain going through the processing. So, yeah, maybe I'll take it just as my own personal, like, okay, I'm going to start jotting down whatever I'm remembering, at least a little bit. Because I couldn't even tell you, like, I know I dream all the time, and I'll either tell John, or if it's like involving my parents or something, I'll talk to my mom usually. So I like tell people, but then I forget as soon as I share it. So maybe it's just time to start to track a little bit. So this could be like an ongoing, like, let's see what happens in the next couple months, weeks, whatever. In the ASC, y'all can always like chime in, and we still have a few more weeks where this is the monthly theme.
Yeah, and there's a challenge that I posted this week to talk about dreams. So if you didn't get, if you are seeing this now and you aren't able to interact in person, then you can comment on that challenge, and that'll be good. What else I was going to say? Oh, Gary said, Rebecca, that makes sense. Or not being able to remember, because I hear that your brain is in an alpha state for the first 30 minutes after you wake, and then it transitions. So Gary, for you, for the car, I was curious if the car was moving, like while you were in it, in the back seat of the car, or you were just there but nobody was in the front seat and you were just sitting in the back. Because there's I already talked about the can't move being paralyzed one when I was going over D's, but about just driving in general. Plots about driving are about your journey through life. Pay attention to how you feel. Are you in control or out of control? So I wonder if if nobody's in the front seat, does that mean that there are certain aspects of your life where you don't feel like you are in control? Maybe. Are you relaxed or stressed, joyful or angry? These all tell you how you feel your journey is going. If you're not driving and someone else is, or no one else is, if someone else is, it indicates you either feel the aspect of you that person represents is in control right now. So if there's nobody, does that mean something is controlling certain aspects of your life where that you don't have control over? Yes, on the freeway, it freaks me out. That's so interesting. It indicates you either feel the aspect of, wait, hold on. Okay. Start over. If you're not driving and someone else is, it indicates you feel the aspect of you that person represents is in control right now, or you feel you're not in control of your life's path. Pay attention to context and other symbols to determine who or what you might feel is driving you right now. This also has like specific objects that if you might dream about, like if you dream about water, or you dream about zombies or needles or monsters, or weather, or animals also. So if you guys have any of those, I'm happy to read those for fun. I'm trying to think of like, do I dream about this? I don't ever feel like I dream about inanimate objects. It's always people. So I wonder if this, and there's always a storyline. Like earlier this weekend, so I fell asleep on Saturday night and watched SNL, and I love SNL and I'll watch every week, but like, it's very hit or miss, all of the skits and everything, and sometimes they're like really good and sometimes it's just kind of like an episode to get through. But I obviously appreciate the art form. But this last week, I don't know, do you watch, Rebecca, do you watch SNL?
Yeah, I haven't watched it in a while just because we
Yeah.
don't have regular TV, so I have to like find it, but I've watched it forever.
So the host this past week was Dave Chappelle, who I absolutely love, because he's like super funny, and I know that he's said some provocative things, but he's excellent comedian, sketch comedy, like all of that stuff. So it was a very different feel. But I had a dream that night that I was hanging out with Pete Davidson and just like having a casual conversation. Like I can remember like that he was dressed super casual. I was dressed super casual to the point where I was like almost like, like I'm at home. And I was like, I would not want to look like this if I was seeing Pete Davidson, but or any celebrity. But it was I was like, man, that episode was really good. And he's like, I know it was really good, blah, blah, blah. And like, we were having a discussion about it. So it was very, very interesting, but it's, having the conversations with people. And I do have conversations with celebrities in my dreams all the time. And there is a analysis around, celebrities. Just I'm going to share that because
Oh yeah, that'll be
meeting
interesting.
someone famous, just in case you're having dreams. When you dream of meeting someone famous, the dream meaning will be individual to you because it depends on who the celebrity is and what they represent to you. For example, if you dream of meeting a celebrity you idolize, it could be about optimizing those aspects of yourself that the celebrity reminds you of, which I was like, interesting. If the celebrity is someone you find shallow and vain or dislike, it may be about the aspects of yourself that you wish to disown. Ask yourself, who is this person and what do they mean to me? Celebrities often embody archetypes in dreams, so if you can match them to one of, see if you can match them to one of the archetypes. I need to see what's that's referring to. If the celebrity is a religious figure such as Jesus, Muhammad, or Buddha, then the dream may be about spiritual aspirations or guidance. So I thought that was kind of fun because I'm like, if I'm dreaming about this celebrity, what is it about that?
So what do you think it is in reading that? Have you thought about your dream?
That one specifically, I don't know. I think if it was like, I'm not sure if I mean, I didn't even think about it, but I was just like, oh yeah, there's Pete Davidson. I think there is, for him specifically, there's just like the comedy bit, or it's like, that's the piece that, like before the pandemic, I was really, doing improv work and just comedy. I mean, just even the context of the conversation was very comedic. So thinking about, how do I tap into, does that mean I just need to watch something funny because I haven't, even though I just did watch something funny, or is it, tapping into my own comedic prowess, if that's even the right word, just because I haven't really done that recently. But yeah, super, super interesting.
It is.
Yeah, D says, well, damn, the need to be more organized and plan more efficiently is something I've worked on and often failed to achieve most of my life. Regarding her dream. Interesting. So if it's recurring, so then it's, maybe that's a symbol to, double down on that a little bit more and see if the dreams change. I don't know. But a lot of people struggle with that too. So I think that's good.
Yeah.
Anything? Okay. Clothing I mentioned in that dream. We wear clothing that presents a version of ourselves to the world. What we wear influences how others perceive us or how we want others to perceive us. This is what it represents in dreams as well. Pay attention to things such as the color, the clothing, shapes or patterns, the condition, which offer insight about which face you are presenting to the world. Okay, so that would tell me that I am showing my lazy self, which I do all day. Like, I slept in these clothes and I'm gonna go out to an appointment later today wearing the same clothes, just saying. You also wear clothing as a sort of shield. Okay. And then it says, oh, when you're naked in a dream, it represents vulnerability. And that makes sense. Clothing offers cover from feeling vulnerable, so it may represent the ways you shield yourself from feeling too vulnerable. Cool. So
Interesting.
yeah, it's fun. I mean, I think it's just fun to like think about and see how that might manifest. And that, I mean, the same thing going back all the way to the conversation about like tarot. It's, you know, a lot of, you know, fortune tellers or psychics will use tarot as a way to like tell you what where you're at. But, you know, I have the whole deck and I'm pulling every day, and there's always a way that you can kind of analyze this and how it means to you. So I almost kind of like the fact that I am drawing cards on my own, because it makes me think about like, where is this showing up in my life? It could be like 1 minute of the entire day. Like there was one that I pulled earlier this week that was like, you love to focus on the drama, but is that taking you away from your ability to, you know, take action or focus on you or whatever? And I'm like, yeah, it's a stupid Bachelor in Paradise that I'm watching 2 days a week for 2 hours because it's so much drama and I love it, but like it's messing with my sleep because I, you know, it's like 9 o'clock and then I have to like do my whole nighttime routine, and it's just crazy. And it's a freaking TV show, but I was like, that is, you know, there's no drama in my life, but there's drama on that show, and I just needed to end, which thankfully it'll end next week. So it was just like calling me out, like, all right, crazy. Like, I know that you like this drama, but it's slowing you down. So just note that. And I was like, I will put a pin in that statement.
Yeah, that's so true. Well, and I was just thinking that I think this morning or yesterday where, I mean, I enjoy the Kardashians from time to time, or the Housewives, and especially through the pandemic when I like went through my whole big life shift, it was like, what do I need to just like watch to entertain me, and not using it to not numb out, but you know, there's a borderline between numbing out and just like chilling out, you know, and just awareness is so key. So to have that, I had that last night though, where I actually logged us out of, somehow we got logged out of Hulu, and I couldn't watch the new Kardashians. And before I had binged a bunch because I don't watch it regularly, but I was like, all right, sure, keeping a little pulse. And it kind of keeps me like one foot in the real world, because then I spend so much time in like yoga meditation land. So it's interesting to just like see what, like, not that they're the real world, but you know what I mean? And, but I had that too. I was like, you know what, this isn't feeling, I'm not getting the same, like it almost feels like a waste of my time. Whereas in the past, I could definitely justify doing it because I could feel from a deeper place, like this is helping me right now. But now it's like, oh no, this is not. And it's kind of an interesting little segue into the final point of like dreaming bigger and cutting out the things that are distracting, cutting out the things that aren't necessarily serving that part of you anymore. And it's such a unique person to person, it's a basis, you know, it's like for someone else to sit and watch The Bachelor in Paradise or the Kardashians, it might be the medicine they need right now to just check out from some other stuff in their life. But if you're starting to feel like, wait, this is just me wasting my time and energy that I actually want to put into something else, or maybe I could watch a documentary that's going to fill me up differently or educate me or inform me. But it's all on these spectrums, like everything in life. So where are you on the spectrum right now in terms of your dreams? Do you want to put some energy into bigger life stuff? And if so, like, where are the little leaks, or where are the things like the 2 hours of TV that you don't need? Where are the little, you know, where are you wasting literal time or energy? And knowing that as soon as you can start to name those things and seal them up or get rid of them, more space, more energy, more time is there to help you step into like the gold dream. Or maybe it's the time that you'll actually wind down and get better sleep. You know, those 2 hours could be crucial for, you know, I'm going to like not fill my brain with drama of whatever. And instead I'm going to read a book or listen to some nice music and sip some tea or whatever. And in those 2 hours of reality TV time, it's actually going to serve me even better to like do some practices that are going to enable the sleep, and therefore the real dreams and the big dreams and my energy and my well-being, you know? So it's sometimes we just have to hit pause on life and just look at where we're putting everything, and knowing that it really does all come back to the time, the energy, and it's there if you want it to put towards like the goals, the dreams, the visions. And is it time? Are you feeling that nudge, like that little tap? Like, is it time to dream bigger? Or is it time to just simply like reconnect with the dreams that you have, the visions that you have? And if so, what will it take right now to put some more energy into it? And I like trim the fat, where's your extra, like, where are you distracting yourself where you're distracting yourself, and realize like that's such a little gold mine of some energy you could use for something even better.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it's always good to think about that and making sure that you are focused on the important stuff. Yeah, and it's great. Yeah, I'm like, I do watch the Kardashians too, and I'm like, okay, it's 45 minutes a week. It's fine. But that's also part of the resting phase for me. I spend so much time sitting in front of the computer trying to calculate random stuff or clean through emails, and that can be exhausting. So making sure that you're giving yourself that time to rest is super important. Let me see if there was any other comments in the chat. No. Oh, I missed Gary when he said Jesus take the wheel for his car that's being driven on the highway.
Gary, I get that way too. It's wild when you like, I remember at some point, this is like a memory I have of looking over on the highway, not here, it was somewhere else, but seeing like a teenager and seeing like a phone kind of in her hand as she's like flying 70 miles an hour plus. And it was like that moment, like just switched something in my mind. Like, this is crazy. Like, we're all just moving, trusting one another in our cars. So not to like invoke any fear, but I totally can relate. It's like this like kind of sense of out of control, but also in control. It's like all the more reason to be an attentive driver, but like, yeah, it's like a big thing. And I guess why I share this is that there's just so much like can be webbed out from that one thought or thing. And whether it lands somewhere in the subconscious, whether it stirs something else up, whether it, it could go in so many directions. So it really, like, it has a place there because I do think it is quite a big thing. And I can get there too, probably once a week. That thought kind of rolls through my mind, at least, of when I'm on the highway, especially, of like, this is wild. Like, let's just all just like trust Jesus, take the wheel, whatever. And yeah, hum along with the flow. Imagine arriving safely.
Love it.
Oh boy.
And I know
well, I hope this.
I know we only have a couple of minutes left. I think one of the things that I wanted to ask you, Rebecca, is in terms of like making sure that we are constantly, getting to a place where we're, checking in with ourselves and what our current dreams are. And I know that we kind of just talked about that a little bit, but what is your suggestion or advice in terms of like making sure that you're staying either committed or connected to your current real world dreams?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of just that awareness muscle always of cultivating that. And how do you cultivate that? It's just like any muscle. Like, at some point you just get a little ping of like, I want to like build my biceps, or I want to like run better, or, I want to tap into like my dreams more. So it's all kind of that same, like that initial idea. However you might be inspired, like inspiration is everywhere. So anyway, once you like land on the thing that you might want to put some energy into it, whether it be checking in or what have you, it's like, okay, there's awareness, and we start to remove like the emotional part of having awareness and just look at it as a thing. And in that, it's like detached awareness, and realize it's a process. It's something that you have to start to do, just like you have to pick up a dumbbell at some point and like do it. You have to put running shoes on and start to walk, to jog, to run, to do it. So with this sort of thing, what will it take? Does it mean that you put a journal out and just seeing that journal? And right now, maybe that's all it is. Like, you don't even write in the journal, but you see it, that you've got a journal there, that whether it's for gratitude journaling or dream checks or just personal like brain dumps. It's my favorite style of journaling. It's like not even using prompts. I like prompts too, but a lot of times that's just a place for me in the morning. So what do you need to do? And again, it's kind of just a personalized thing, I think, but I always suggest timers on your phone. I mean, it goes to the science of habit building too. So it's like this kind of woo-woo thing of like, how do we like change our life. And then there is a reason for all the habit work and the 21 days or 60 days to build a habit, or consistency being key, because at the core of who we are, we do have a brain that is a computer, that is very logical, that needs these systems to be offered in order to get to that place where it feels more ingrained and embodied. So it's a little bit of a loose answer, but you need to just put a Post-it note, time to journal, time to self-reflect, take 3 deep breaths, whether it's on your phone, whether it's an app you find. And so right now, as you're listening to this, like, you have to have that discipline of, okay, I want this, and this is what I'm going to do about it, because you're the only person at the end of the day who can like do this stuff for yourself. So kind of working backwards into like, it really does start with you. What do you want? And then what sort of system do you need to remember? Because we need repetition. Our brain needs repetition. Our body needs repetition to eventually turn these things that are just ideas and thoughts into actions that then will become our reality. So where are you in that spectrum? Is it an idea or a feeling? And then what's the next step? It's an action. So what's the next action step? So anyway, I hope that helps answer the question a little bit. But it really is like, even in the woo-woo world, you have to sit down and say, I'm going to meditate. You have to like take a break with that awareness of like, I want this, so I'm going to journal. It's the people that float through the days, or they look like it. They actually have a lot of systems in place, but they don't maybe appear so like masculine or jarring, because it's just become a little more of an easeful thing. But it has to start somewhere. So for people that like meditate, they weren't born meditating in a certain way. At some point they decided to build a practice, and now it's become just this common, behavioral thing they do every day, and they can't imagine living without it. Same with a lot of things that people can probably connect with, whether it's like, I walk down and I make coffee every day. It's like, at some point I had to decide that I wanted to make coffee every day, but it didn't just happen, so it's kind of just rattling yourself loose of any things of like, I can't do that, I've never done that, and lean more into like, I want that, so what can I do?
Yeah. No, I love that. Love that. I agree. Oh, that's awesome. Well, we've come to our hour and the end of our fireside chat. So, thank you guys. Thank you, Rebecca, for coming up with some great conversation for today. And for those of you who were live, thank you so much for joining live. Those of you in the ASC who are watching this on the replay, because I know that we always have people watching it later, feel free to share in the community your dreams, and then I can do some analysis on that. So go ahead and do that. Those of you who are not in the ASC and you're stumbling upon this video on YouTube and you're like, I am very fascinated about dreams. Thank you for watching. And if you have any questions, feel free to throw that in the comments, or, feel free to check us out at accountabilitysuccesscircle.com. And we will see you next month for number 40, which will be really, really great. And we'll talk soon. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.